I really always liked Porky Pig. It was a cartoon about a pig who walked around naked from the waist down with genitals left waving in the wind. Now I'm not just talking turkey when I say that this pig was one of my most watched television shows as a lad. That's right, a lad. Are you calling me a worthless liar? An imbecile? I beg your pardon. It's quite hard enough just living with the stuff I've learned. I wish I was like you, easily amused, in your ivory tower of ignorance, where you spend your days watching the Food Network on your mom's couch while she waits for EBT checks and you jack off on her couch while cats piss on you. Enjoy your Call of Duty. Hope you actually get drafted in the army, thrown into battle. You'll learn how hard life really is. Porky Pig doesn't air on television anymore. It might be that he's been rendered obsolete in the eyes of many, not me. Well, my message will never get through to you, the masses. I'm the last beacon of hope for humanity. And I'm dying. A lot of people often ask, what is the meaning of life, and does God exist? But do they ever wonder if pigs have souls? Do pigs go to pig heaven where they eat corn all day? Pigs look disturbingly human when dressed in human clothes. I found the lost episode of Porky Pig while searching for something to eat in the garbage cans outside the public library. Oh, okay, I know what you're thinking. This guy is homeless. Don't let the fancy suit and tie fool you. I'm indeed homeless. You can't even see me except in your imagination. Now, I want you to really, really imagine me deep in your mind. How old am I? Am I successful? What school did I go to? What did I want to be when I grew up? You know, people say you have your whole life ahead of you. Precisely until you don't anymore. My mistake. We're all fucked. You know what? Fuck you, Mr. I Have a Home. I'm typing this up in the library while an old woman stabs me with the ruler, insisting I exist. But I will not exist. I, Kip Porgy, am the savior of humanity. I know what you're thinking. What kind of name is Kip? My parents hated me. My nickname in middle school was the Kipper, because I looked like a retarded seal. I once reached level 70 in World of Warcraft. I was wandering down the street eating a dirty bag of McDonald's crumbs when I asked someone for a few pennies. They shrugged and looked away. A long time ago, I loved a girl and she never loved me back. I clutched the VHS to my heart, hoping to pawn it for a few dollars. I was so hungry. The lack of finances had rendered my front teeth to mere nubs with bloody calcium-inflected gum stores full of tartar. I hadn't showered in several years. Do you ever see those shiny new pennies in the trays at convenience stores? I sure wished I was one of those right about now. I wandered into an annexed apartment building crawling with rats. Massive dead roaches had inhaled paint fumes and fallen dead in the corners. I was so hungry I considered eating one of them. I found an empty room on the second floor where I figured I could squat for a bit. There was an unimaginable smell coming from the bathtub. I peered in to see that the previous tenant had died what looked like 6 months ago. Her body had rendered down to what I could only consider a soup of human flesh, bone, and maggots. They crawled through the open sores of her body, digesting and discarding pieces of flesh as nature dictates. Her mouth was open in delicious Campbell's soup, or what it looked like it was spewing out of her face. I was tempted to eat some good, but I didn't want to disrespect the dead. I rooted through the fridge to find 1/10 of a bottle of mustard, which I ate hungrily. I looked at the VHS. Capitalist pigs fuck off. In all capital letters with a picture of Porky Pig sucking a dick on the cover. Ugh, gross. This old crone still had a VHS player. Wasn't that quaint? I huddled in the corner for warmth and noted that the electric in the apartment still worked. Well, I wasn't going to let all this homelessness, isolation, and self-loathing ruin my Saturday night. I popped the lost episode of Porky Pig, is that even proper English, into my VHS player. Popped some dried mustard pieces in the microwave, and sat back to enjoy a fine program, trying to ignore my own body odor, which was giving me a headache. The episode started with Porky Pig lying in bed covered in cancer sores. I guess Daffy Duck was supposed to be in the scene, but it was hard to tell. I'm going down some dinner. Porky Pig storms downstairs and opens the fridge. It was really disgusting. Inside the fridge were human body parts. Human heads, tongues, eyes, and noses. Porky Pig pulls out a human head and starts to fry the entire head in a frying pan. Yum! Porky Pig licks his lips. This was fucking disgusting. I didn't want to watch this. But something kept me glued to the TV. Porky Pig sits down and starts to carve the face up, delighting in the smooth and velvety texture of the human flesh mixed with the blood gravy. The more I looked at the head on the plate, the more I realized it was my own head. How the fuck did my head get rendered into a cartoon made nearly 70 years ago? What the dick? Oh, I remember in my youth I got into a fight with one of the producers at Warner Brothers. If I remember correctly, I told him to suck my balls. A shot of a delicious ham sandwich was shown on screen. It just stayed there with no scene occurring. Fuck! I was so hungry. I went up and licked the screen. Oh, that fucking guy must still be trying to get revenge on me from that fight. No, the screen tasted cold and glassy with no flavor whatsoever. If I had a salt shaker, I would have, whatever. I remembered vaguely that girl I used to love as my tongue scraped the cold metal screen. I wasted my whole childhood playing Final Fantasy Tactics. There's a true horror story, I'll tell you what. The mounting feeling of isolation and knowing you can never start over, and that ability is not a skill that you can learn with job training. Now look at me. Just a homeless, insane old man who holds the secret to all of humanity in his magical beard. As I pulled my tongue back, I found that I had actually been licking a dead body. This was gross. The next shot was a Porky Pig shopping for humans to eat. He walks into a county fair where whole families are on racks. There's another pig here, a really brutish-looking one with a concave jaw and tusks. It's a really sinister design and not for children. He points to a 20-something-year-old man, and the dust pig brutally hacks him apart while he screams. He also grabs another child and shoots a bolt into its head. The head pops immediately. The kid goes flying across the screen. You see the full detail of the skinning, chopping, and wrapping process as the words "disturbing alternate reality" appeared in all caps. I could read this if I... Porky Pig smiled, revealing hideously sharp incisor teeth which sparkled covered in blood. A little baby pig walked up holding a balloon. Have you seen my body? The baby pig says. Porky Pig screams. He stomps a punky hoof into the child pig's eye, which sends blood everywhere. The little pig falls over, and Porky stops the lungs out of it while the cartoon stylization becomes even more highly realistic and violent. Porky looks a little disheveled. His eyes are swirling and swiveling all over the place as his eyes become wide as saucers. He strolls down the street with a top hat and a cane, while a man that looks exactly like yours truly is shown laying in the gutter with a sparkling Jesus beard. Suddenly, I remember that this area frequently had power surges as the lights flickered. Spare some change? I didn't remember recording these lines, but that was my voice. Borky said, and kicked the homeless man in the head, strolling down the street and shitting all over him fucking self. It's not greed, the voice said rather softly. Porky Pig dislocated his jaw and let it swivel around while he walked through a busy street full of human animals that screamed at his swaying jaw and burning demonic eyes. You know, I find it hard to believe kids were shown this. He sits down at a table with a bib and starts eating an entire Thanksgiving dinner to himself. A shot of a man falling out of a window is shown in the background, a possible 9/11 prediction. I heard VCR repairs are inexpensive. The words, "Go Kip Pry," flashed on screen. Porky Pig eats some stuffing and cranberry sauce, that fat fucking turkey pig. A candle that was lit starts to burn up the building as Porky Pig just sits there stuffing his gullet until his stomach pops and you see his guts start flying all over. The animation gets really sketchy as his stomach becomes more and more full, and his eyes swivel with evil squiggle lines that swirl out forever. His arms wave around and he snickers in a sinister manner. This part looked like it was drawn by someone with Asperger's syndrome, maybe. He starts to talk to himself. Something was happening in the background. It looked like Porky Pig was fucking a lawnmower in silhouette. Could make jelly well, I thought we could find some shelter together from the world. Now I can see. Vagina. Porky Pig bites down on an apple, takes out a cleaver, and chops his own head off, putting it on the plate as the corpse collapses and the head stops moving. The phone rings inside the television. There's just a shot of someone being boiled alive to soup in a pot as some flies inside the TV start to mess up the tube television picture. Make no mistake, though, a voice says softly. I thought it sounded like Michael Jackson at a children's birthday party. At some point, someone will kill you. You'll be in death and wander restlessly, waiting for a meaning, a purpose. But it will never come. You'll delude yourself like you're wrapped in a blanket, wait for bus stations as the teeth rot and your hair falls out. But it simply isn't there. A shot of Porky Pig's lengthy serpent tongue unfolds as he bites down on my head. Blood trickles down the screen. Instead of a ham sandwich, this time there was a bag of delicious popping corn. I looked down on the floor at a broken life alert bracelet. I wondered if she heard the phone ring. The camera zoomed deep into Porky Pig's face as I realized maybe this wasn't a cartoon. Surprise! The voice whispers, though it sounded really more deep and demonic than Porky Pig. I guess that's what it's like being of no use to anyone, a complete waste. A non-factor that's incapable of providing happiness to anyone. A drain on society and the planet. Someone who takes and never gives back. They say your life flashes before your eyes moments before you die. Well, all I know is what I saw. A VHS slamming me in the face as the VCR exploded. I flew out a second-story window, experiencing broken glass shards under my skin at once. What am I supposed to say? What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear that I died? I know that I died over 20 years ago when you killed me. There's nothing to hold on to when you fall out of a window. Don't pretend that you don't remember. I became known on the internet as a human shish kebab, a homeless man who was found impaled on a lamppost with a VHS tape stuck in the side of his head. The cracked and melted plastic had split the hemispheres of my brain in half. And yet, miraculously, I live. I had accepted my obsolescence. Fuck, where's my orange rhyming dictionary? Certainly. But who knew how the modern Prometheus man with his sparkling magic beard became encased in glass that day? A prime example of magic's triumph over science. My heart continues to beat to this day. They wonder about my psychic transmissions, if I am truly conscious. I stare through the glass to the other side. At those families with their children, I am the #1 exhibit at the Smithsonian. I listen carefully through the glass, hoping to hear what the panel next to my body says. I see them through the glass, holding balloons, carrying the little things they bought. I see their happiness. I see her. People always told me, be careful what you do, and don't go around breaking young girls' hearts. Mother always told me, be careful who you love, and be careful of what you do. 'Cause the lie becomes the truth. Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one. But the kid is not my son.